All right, now we're going to go on for a real demo. But first, let me explain the demo setup that has been prepared here. Using the EMSCOPE and a laptop connected to it, we will test a known EUT that fails the EMC test. We have also added a power line filter selection box so we can easily switch between the different filters to see the differences in the results. So the box here includes 4 options: a case of no filter, then another with differential mode filter, the third with a common mode filter, and then the fourth with a full filter. Once in the browser, to access remotely the EMSCOPE, we just need to type the following address: EMSCOPE dash and then a 4-digit code that relates to the serial number, and then we access the software on the EMSCOPE. So during this demonstration and with the setup we are using now, we're going to show you how fast and easy it is to perform an EMI measurement changing to model measurements to help us design the correct filter for our equipment. So using the software, which is quite simple to use, you just need to navigate through the different menus on the left, and then you'll be able to perform measurements. So the first thing you need to do is configure the software. So you click configuration. You can change how the graph looks, you can change the color of the graph or the limits, and also you can update the software at no cost. So once you have the configuration in the way you like, you can go to frequency and start selecting what you want to measure. So in frequency, you can select the frequency range you want to cover, or you can go to predefined drop list where you can pick the typical EMC bands. So in this case, 150 kilohertz up to 30 megahertz with the resolution bandwidth of 9 kilohertz. So that's the frequency and resolution bandwidth we're going to use. Then you can go to amplitude and change the amplitude of the graph or the scale. You can also go to limits, and then you can select the limits from a drop list, or you can edit a limit or create a limit. In this case, I'm going to select a limit and plot it. So now I have the limit on the screen. Now I'm going to switch on the equipment, and now it's on. And that's the noise coming from the equipment, the conductive noise. Then we can go to trace configuration, and you can start choosing what graph you want to see. Each graph will be in a new tab. So if that's the line measurement with the peak detector, I can say I want line measurement but with quasi-peak. Now I have 2 graphs, and I can also add another one, which is going to be the average. So in one simple graph, we can have a real-time measurement of the line with all 3 detectors, and we can keep going. So we can add another tab and say now I want to measure line and neutral peak. I can add another for the neutral quasi-peak and another for neutral average. So in that simple plot, we have up to 6 graphs in real time on the screen. To close the graph, we just need to click the X as any other software. You can do a frequency zoom, or you can do an amplitude zoom. So let's perform an EMC measurement. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the peak measurement because I'm not interested in it. So I want to see only the quasi-peak and the average values to compare with their limits. To do that, we can go to report and generate a list. Here you can see that we have failed the test, different frequencies whose levels are above the limit. So we are not okay with the EMC. Now we can use the EMSCOPE capability to switch to model measurement and see how we can improve the performance. So I'm going to clean the list. I'm going to focus on the quasi-peak value. I'm going to save this graph so I can use it later as a comparison. I can save the measurement in a CSV file. I'll call it line measurement with quasi-peak detector, no filter measurement. And the file is saved. All right, I have saved it now. So now let's do some more measurements. I know I'm above the limits. So where does the noise come from? I can click another tab, switch to modal measurements, and say show me the differential mode. Another one to show me the common mode. So we see that we have both common mode and differential mode noise. Let's see how we can work with that. I'm going to hide the EMC measurement. The first tab, the red one, I'm going to just hide it. It's still here, but it's hidden. So let's play a little with our filter box. First thing, we have a differential mode filter. So I'm going to hide the common mode. I can see here now that I have the differential mode noise. I'm going to freeze this graph so I can now switch to the first filter, add another tab, and say show me the differential mode. That's the noise we have now. So after applying a single capacitor filter, we have improved the differential mode a lot. And we can do another thing. I can also remove the differential mode, hide this one. We can now show the common mode. So that's the common mode noise that we haven't filtered, but now I'm going to do is to apply the second filter in our selection box. So I'll freeze it and switch to the next filter, which is a common mode choke, and let's see how it looks like. So I create a new tab and specify that I want to measure the common mode noise. And as you see, we have also improved it a lot in the common mode. So the last measurement we can do is to try the full filter. I'm going to remove these graphs and I'm going to show you now the last filter. So I apply the last filter and I'm going to show common mode and add up the differential mode. So now as you see, we have improved our equipment a lot. Once we are satisfied with the modal measurements, we can say let's repeat the EMC test again. I'm going to switch off all the modals and go back to EMI measurements. So I can click EMI measurement again and I can say show me line quasi peak. I can also show average. As you see, if we now do a report, we generate a new list which says now it's compliance test passed. If we want to compare this with previous measurements we did at the beginning without any filter, we can just remove this one on the quasi peak, focus on the quasi peak, and let's click report, go to the report and load the previous graph we had saved before. So we open this graph and now we can see the difference. That was the quasi peak noise we had before the filter, and now that we have improved our filter, that's the noise reduced. So in this case, we are now okay with EMC. So we have a full pass test. Well, the last thing we can do is to create more reports. So we go to trace configuration. We can add second tab to show the average. So we have both graphs together. If we want now, we can also decrease the amplitude. And now we have noise. We can also do the graph. As we said before, we have a compliance test passed. Here we can fill in some information, sample one, the manufacturer comments, apply the full filter, for example, and then generate a report. So this report can generate a PDF file of the measurements. So you can change the logo, you can still complete more information here, and you can also create a PDF file from this, which is pretty simple. You can also save the graph. You have the CSV file. You can also save it offline, and so it will save for measurements if you want to use it on another computer that is not connected to the EMSCOPE. This is how the EMSCOPE can really help you in improving your equipment under test and also reducing the conducted test.